Good afternoon, everybody. It's the Modernist Colourist, Dev speaking. I'm going to do a couple of videos this afternoon simultaneously. So I'm just going to show you what we're going to do first. I have a couple of flip-throughs to do. One is requested, one that I want to show you, and then a swatching video in relation to the Home Cube marker set that I mentioned on my first video as being right up there with the best I'd ever used. So I want to do a swatching of those to let you see how actual good they are. And then obviously moving on, we're going to do a flip through of Rock and Roll Comics, the colouring book. This is 60 pages of classic rock art. I'm going to do, again, also requested, a couple of Neil Gaiman colouring books. I'm going to do a flip through of those. Those two will be in the same video. And then this is the Yasmin Elderhan colour chart swatch book, which was well received when I did the swatching of the Beryl markets. So somebody asked me what actual book that was. So here it is. It's an extra large colouring collection edition. The charts itself gives you a large square with 4 lines of descriptive spaces to put whatever you want in there, and then of course you can put the title and you can put the date of whatever it is that you are swatching. So without further ado, I'll go on to the flip through of the Rock and Roll Comics book, which will then be followed even by a short pause, and then I'll start with the Neil Gaiman books, and then I'll do a swatching of the Home Cubes. And just while I've got your attention, the receivership of this channel has been such a shock to me. I really appreciate every single one of you that's commented and give me words of support and encouragement. No so more than a friend of mine who I have to remain nameless at this point, who has his own channel. I've managed to get these. Now, I thought that these were the same Crayola brush tips as what Zoe Archer uses, that Anne from A Colourful Life had given her, but they're actually not. I've looked everywhere online. You cannot buy these anywhere, or if you can, please let me know. These are special Crayola Pro range. Now these particular sets, I've got 11 here. These were created to actually send out to newspaper strips and various other illustrators as a promotional gift from Crayola. Now I've managed to get 11 packs of these. Now, some of them are spoken for people who have helped me on the way to the channel. Sammy, Colouring with Sammy, and Kate at Kate's Colouring Haven, and of course Harry at the Art Gear Guide. They're all going to get a box. I'm going to keep a couple for myself, but that does leave about 6 to give away. So I would appreciate if anybody's got any ideas on how I can give away a box of these, and I don't mind it being international. So that could be a bit of a thought process for you whilst you're getting bored with my video. So yeah, I wanted to mention that because I really have tried to find them online and I just can't find them anywhere. So if you do receive a box of these from me as a thank you, then obviously use them sparingly, because I don't think they will be available again. Okay, right, so moving on. This video is just going to be about this book. Now, I have had, I'm a very big music fan, especially John Lennon up here. As you can see by my tattoos, I have David Bowie here. I think I mentioned that at one point. And I have John Lennon here. So music is a massive part of my life, and there's been not a lot of colouring books that you can buy that are good. The first one I bought, the album covers was dire. It really was poor. So I managed to get this one online, and I searched for it, and the artwork in here is fantastic. So let's have a quick look at it. I mean, comic book strips may not be your thing, but obviously with it being music, it's very, very interesting to me, and I'm going to love colouring in it. So of course you've got the first page, you've got Jimi Hendrix down here advertising the book. The paper is not too bad. It's very similar to Create Space, but it doesn't feel as thin as that for some reason. It seems to have a bit more substance about it. Now it's spelt the US way, so I'm presuming it's come from that neck of the woods. It's done by Raven Press, but I believe that there are over 20 artists, maybe 30 artists, that's contributed to Todd Lauren's compilation of getting all this together, and it's a really, really good job for those who are interested. So of course, actually it does tell you here. So in the art credits here, you've got all 61 images, 60 images in total, but one by Todd Lauren, who's the collaborator, and each one has had, it looks to be different artists, you know. So there's a lot of work gone into this book, I can assure you that. So we kick off with the King. Elvis, it's got a whimsical touch to it, but because it's there open to your ideas, these can be made to look very realistic for what they are because of the fact that they're slightly whimsical. It gives you a little snippet about each track. For instance, this one is saying Heartbreak Hotel was inspired by an article about a man's suicide note. And then he sang Hound Dog on the Steve Allen Show to a live Basset hound, which is strange, but there you go. Thank you very much, thank you. So, after you've got Elvis, we move on to a double page spread. Well, it's not a double page spread, but it's a double page feature of Bob Dylan. This one's very good. I don't reckon that that's as realistic as it could have been. I'm not going to go massively into descriptives with these because you can see for yourself. However, these are my idols. They're my heroes. These are the best band that's ever walked the planet, in my opinion. It's got a little bit of trivia here saying that the violin bass, which Paul McCartney was notoriously famous for using, was bought for 30 Great British pounds in 1961. And I can assure you it wouldn't be worth that now. It would be in the millions. And then there's a slight comic strip in relation to the Beatles. This, of course, is going to be my first piece of artwork that I do in here. There are lots of different illustrations in the boxes, so you can use multimedia on this if you want to make a full comic strip. But I think the artwork and the ideas of this book are something else. So, and then we have The Who, again one of my favourite bands. They made it big in the late 60s, early 70s as a rock band, and of course they are the shining light behind my favourite movie, which is Quadrophenia. This is a good one. It's actually a reenactment. They did do a live concert in Washington on the streets, so I presume that's what that's from. And then moving further on, this is more the hippie period. You have the Grateful Dead, who are not a lot of everybody's cup of tea, but I don't mind a couple of theirs, to be fair. And then we have another hugely popular band of Pink Floyd. Again, they're not my cup of tea, but I do appreciate the talent. There are millions of people who are dedicated followers to Pink Floyd. They've sold millions of records, so obviously they are they are appealing to a certain type of listener. This is quite a good comic strip. I think most of them are going to be, you know, open to your interpretation of what you want to put on the paper. For me, the Beatles one will be all about using 60s colours and late 50s colours and trying to make it authentic that way. But if you bought this book, and I recommend that you do, you could do anything with it. You know, it lends itself to backgrounds a lot. It's basically an open canvas with the groups on for you to make your own storyline. So we move on. Led Zeppelin, another one of my favourite bands. Make sure I get all that in the page. That's better. So we've got Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin here as a single picture. You know, what a guitarist he was. I'm not sure I've ever seen him with a twin neck before, but Led Zeppelin have certainly rocked many houses over the years. Eric Clapton, very good guitarist. I know once somebody in the press asked Eric Clapton what it was like to be the best guitarist in the world, and his answer pleased me, something chronic, because he said, "I don't know, ask Prince," which was a massive thumbs up for Prince, who again is one of my favourites. Eric Clapton did steal George Harrison's wife, I don't know if you know that, in the 60s. So of course he had a bit of stick from the fan bases back then, but since he's gone on his own from Cream, he has developed himself into one of the best guitarists in the world and has made some great songs. And then of course you've got Mr. Hendrix himself, who is widely revered as being the best guitarist that's ever lived. I have a debate about that, but that's you know, that's not for a colouring channel. But the psychedelic clothing he's got on here, you know, you literally could put any colour down you wanted. And then there is, let's make sure that gets in properly. Then there is the comic strip part here, where he's introducing his show, The Jimi Hendrix Experience, direct from London. He's playing the guitar with his teeth, which was another thing associated with Jimmy. And then here you've got the guitar bursting into flames with a silhouette of Hendrix in the middle. That'd be excellent to colour. And then moving on, you've got The Doors, which is a comic strip, talking about Jim Morrison. I'm not sure the relevant. This one must be Jim Morrison. Yeah, that does look like him. And then of course you've got him here performing, which could be one of many hits that they had. And then here you've got my other favourite, Mr. Bowie. Mr. Bowie was, in my opinion, one of the most influential musicians of his time, and still was right up until the mid-90s really. He did not care what he looked like. He changed his identity and his way of thinking so many times. He had also known as Ziggy. He also had the Tin Machine. He had various other pseudonyms that he went under, and he was continually changing through the times, and made music that was way ahead of its time. This one I do know, this image, he has red and orange hair on this, so that's what I'll be colouring it. But again, you know, it's down to the colourist interpretation on how they do it. This is a double page comic strip for Genesis. I'm not going to try and baffle you with figures I don't know about, because I don't know enough about Genesis, other than the fact that Phil Collins was in them and Peter Gabriel. I know they've had a couple of big hits, but I'm not going to comment on anything else because it would be fabrication. Aerosmith, very what I call American band, way over the top. They made some absolutely fantastic tracks. Mr. Tyler had a huge mouth, which was quite comical because he never tried to hide it. Love in an Elevator is an absolute classic by them, and Every Rose Has Its Thorn, that kind of thing. They made some really good typical 80s, 90s kind of rock hits that were a bit way over the top, but at the middle of it all were a really good rock group. Not brilliant, but really good. ZZ Top, another one. I don't know much about them, so I'm not going to comment. Motorhead. Now then, Motorhead, Lemmy was the lead singer of Motorhead, who's recently passed away. He was an absolute animal, this fella. Nothing to be proud of, but continually took drugs and alcohol and loose women throughout his career. One song that they particularly did was the Ace of Spades, Born to Lose, Live to Win. Ace of Spades was a massive hit in the UK around about the late 70s. It was even used on comedy shows in Britain, such as Comic Strip Presents, The Young Ones. They were actually live on the Young Ones set, and they also played on Rowan Atkinson's, what was his show called? Not Blackadder, it was the one before. That will come to me, but yeah, they were very, very popular with the youth at that particular time. And again, another legend passed away. You've got Aussie Osborne here, originally from Birmingham. Black Sabbath were a huge band in the 70s. He was the front man of Black Sabbath. He used to do crazy things on stage, like eat heads of bats off and various other crazy stuff. And then, of course, he met Sharon, and the rest is history. He kind of became a more famous name for doing absolutely nothing. But as a musician and as a frontman in the 70s, the Birmingham-based Black Sabbath were a really, really good rock band from the UK. Queen, another band from the UK, sold millions of records. Freddie Mercury was and will never be replaced. I know that Adam Lambert's doing his best and he's had lots of good reviews, but Freddie Mercury was one in a million. His voice was just on a different octave somewhere, not yet invented. They made some great songs. This particular piece here is not the best for Queen. They could have had a better one. This album here is, this Crest of a Swan here is on one of their albums. But I'm not sure about the rest of the features. The British Lions. And then, of course, next to that, you've got Bruce Springsteen, the boss. Bruce, very good guitarist, very, very, very good songwriter. Never used covers really. Always wrote his own songs, which I admire so much in a musician. And again, another multi-million seller. He did a lot with the E Street Band, but he's more famous for being on his own. And of course, Philadelphia, which was a fantastic record. That's probably one of my favourites that he's done. Was written by him. So yeah, that's another good one to have. Not sure about all the heavy line art, but we've been through that on previous books. But with this being a comic strip, you expect a little bit of that, and it's not a colouring page per se before you actually buy it. So that one's quite heavy, as the one is before, but the most that we've seen so far, there is a lot of scope to put colour down, so I'm more than happy with this book. Now this is Rush. a band I don't know a lot about, so I'm not going to comment. All I can tell you about those is they're a heavy rock band and were particularly popular in the 80s. And again, Def Leppard, a band that's from my neck of the country, from Sheffield in Yorkshire. These became very Americanised in the kind of late 80s, early 90s, and went slightly cheesy, I think. That's just my honest opinion. Some of the stuff, Pour Some Sugar on Me and that kind of thing, was way over the top from the stuff that they were putting out in the beginning. But this particular page, you can do the synonymous Def Leppard symbol here in the correct colours, and then you've got the band members here with the fire or flashlights in the background, so that's a good one to colour. Moving on, you've got the Motley Crue. Don't know a lot about those, other than they did a lot of work for the Transformers movies, but they were famous before that. And this is the second page of the Motley Crue. You've got some really, really fine tattoo-sleeved gentlemen here that would, you would have to use fine liners on them. Same with this guy. Very popular band. I've not bought a lot of their stuff, so I don't want to comment and pretend I know something that I don't. I could have Googled it, but I much prefer an unscripted video where I can give you my honest opinions, really. So that's the Motley Crue. Warrant, another 70s, 80s rock band. They did a lot of stuff that were kind of soundtrack based. They were very middle of the road kind of band. So I know through knowing bits about them that they did a lot of films and movies and soundtracks, that kind of thing. And you've got this wonderful lady here, Kate Bush. She was very, very novelty artist. Again, she's kind of the female version of David Bowie, really. She's very different, very off middle of the road, very off the beaten track. The Wuthering Heights single that she did was fantastic. I do like Kate Bush a lot, but the albums have been too few between, really. She's probably just been retiring on her income from when she was most popular, which you can't blame her for. Janet Jackson, fantastic. Nothing I can say about her that nobody doesn't know. The brother of this guy next to her, Michael Jackson, probably the most famous family in pop music history. What he hasn't sold and done and danced to isn't worth knowing. And of course, Janet followed his shoes and was very successful in her own right. Madonna, huge fan. When I was 14, 15, she was the ultimate for me. I had posters of her on my wall and that kind of thing. And I believe she's still the most successful female solo artist ever. These are really good to bring back the 80s with the hair, the makeup, especially this one. This one is from Like a Prayer video, this image. And this one is from Dress You Up by my memory. I can't remember the other ones, but that is fantastic. Skin tones on there, hair, 80s music, 80s colourings, and these home cube markers will go well in this book with that idea in mind. Right, Carrie, I'm not her biggest fan, to be honest. I think she's very false. The person that she projects on the TV is very not the person that she is, in my opinion, of course. She's got a great voice though, and I think that's enough said about that one. She has won a lot of awards. It's a good picture of her, but what you can colour in that is a bit disappointing. And then Guns N' Roses, fantastic band. You know, what you can't say about them is nothing really. You've got Axl Rose here, Slash. You've got the very famous Guns N' Roses wording with the N in the middle. That can be done exactly as it should be. And then you've got the band below. Van Halen, fantastic. Jump was a huge hit. Really like Van Halen. One of the best guitarists that's ever kind of been born. And this is Van Halen and Sammy Hagar when they all got together and made some good tunes. Jump, like I mentioned earlier, Hagar was handed the mic to the audience for everybody to sing, which would have been a fantastic experience if you'd have been there. These, again, the band members, there's lots of scope to colour what you want on them, unless of course you're a specific Van Halen fan and you can reenact that completely as it was. You may know what they were wearing completely off the top of your head. Whitesnake, Poison, two very similar bands. Whitesnake, very popular. I preferred Deep Purple as opposed to Whitesnake, and Poison. They're very, very similar bands, to be fair. In the 90s, they came out with various hits, as too did Whitesnake. I think Whitesnake did one in 87. Is This Love, it was called. And it's a bit of a balladish type song. I think that may have even got to number one. But that was a hit for them. But again, for me, it was a bit of a sellout. They'd gone over the top with the costumes and gone very Americanized. Megadeth, huge band. Don't know massive amounts about Megadeth other than that their music is full on thrash heavy metal. And you know you've listened to an album when you've had Megadeth on. There's a lot of Skull Bones, Fire in here. That would make a good colouring. And of course you've got the kind of Frankenstein-y skulled chap here with sunglasses on. That'd be a really good one, especially with all the stripes behind the emblem. You know, you could make that really stand out. Roots of LA Guns. Absolutely know nothing about them, so I'm not going to comment. I don't know anything about Lita Ford neither. Joan Jett. Joan Jett and the Block Hearts, was it? Black Hearts, even. I Love Rock and Roll, they did. Put Another Coin in the Jukebox, Baby. That was a massive track in the 80s. She was a great guitarist. She's got this frayed jacket on here in the book. I don't know if you can quite see it on camera with these, but there are some glitter stars here that have been added to the costumery. Now, they would obviously look good in stickles. They're actually asking you to be done by that or gel pen. And then you've got all these individual hearts here. So that one could look really, really good as well. Pantera, another huge band, quite underground really, I would say. Very popular though, and obviously the rock element of it. I don't know enough about them to comment on them. That's the Pantera one as well. The Black Crowes, one of my favourite bands, love them. These are a rock band, but they've moved away from all the, you know, the girls walking in suspenders and the lipstick and all that kind of stuff, the cheese fest of it all. These make some serious music. One of the good thing about the Black Crowes is that they write their own music. They've been followed by members of The Who. They've been followed by members of Oasis back here in the UK, and their music is just really R&B rock. So it's my kind of thing. It's early mod stuff, combined with a bit of heavy bass and what have you. But these particular illustrations are fantastic, I think. There's a lot of black in them, but what they have done is reversed it. So you've got the whole of the background, the signage, the stage setting here that you can make pop out against the black. I think that's a great idea, as opposed to having it the other way around. Then you've got a page here that says Rock On, which appears to be, I don't know if you can quite see that, which appears to be a lot of artists put together in the same picture. And of course you've got Springsteen and Bowie, you've got Freddie Mercury, you've got Roger Daltrey from The Who. No, you haven't. You've got The Who, but it's not Roger Daltrey, his name will come to me in a minute. You've got the Beatles here, the Fab Four, Janis Joplin, Kurt Cobain. I think that's Stephen Hicks, and I think that's the guy from the Chili Peppers who are on the next page. His name was Pete Townshend, that is, Pete Townshend. So yeah, you've got a massive sort of feature there with them all in the same pose, which will be a good one to do. I particularly like the two-tone black and white scar-kite symbol up here. Excuse me. That'd look a good picture done and finished. And you've got the Chili Peppers I just mentioned. They're very popular in the UK. I do quite like them. Then you've got two Nirvanas. Massive fan of Nirvana. They're from the US. They're kind of synonymous with inventing grunge music, which were a combination of like heavy rock and deep indie type music in the 90s. And of course, sadly, he's passed away, which is a pity. Their first album, Nevermind, was hugely popular. Smells Like Teen Spirit was a great track. You've got two here, Alice in Chains, that's a good one to colour. That's pretty open to do what you want with. And then you've got the Stone Temple Pilots and Soul Asylum in this one. Don't know anything about those two really. I know a couple of the tracks, but that's about it. What we got here? We've got Jane's Addiction here. That's a great one to colour. You've got some kind of old-fashioned Renaissance characters here at the bottom. Then you've got some woodland, and then you've got the band members above that, and then you can incorporate all these characters at the top. So that'll be one that I'll definitely use. And then, as I mentioned earlier, here's my boy Prince. What can you say about this man that ain't being said, other than, you know, he made his first album at 17 years old, played over 40 instruments on that album to a high standard as well, not just made do with it and got through it. He was proficient at it, and probably, in my opinion, the most talented musician that's ever walked the planet Earth. There isn't anything he couldn't play, and when he did play it, it was to a standard that was so high that this man was the person that all the stars used to go and see. So I don't know if you've ever read articles about Prince. When he did concerts, he had to do two on the same day. There was one for the paying public, and then there was an after party which went on for another 3 hours. This was done by him without stopping, by the way. Now the after parties were created because of the influx of stars that were currently popular, that couldn't go and see him in a general concert because of their recognition. And so it became invented for the best part of 20 years that all these rock stars got tickets for a separate concert after the concert he'd just done. And to be able to perform like that and still bounce around the stage, just purely incredible. He, you know, his hits just go on and on and on, not just for himself but for other people. And what a travesty it was the day I found out he'd died. You know, again, poor advice, bad management with his medication. You know, he'd done so many stunts on stage, he'd damaged his hip, and of course he was taking more and more pain relief for it, to the point where it knocked him unconscious and killed him. So, you know, it's an absolute travesty that this man passed away, but, you know, he'll always be remembered fondly, especially by me. So that one will get done for sure, and that'll be done in purple for obvious reasons. You've got a bit of a made-up kind of comic strip here with a band in the background called the Pleading Stones, and it's about this girl who's a rock groupie. So that can be followed and read. I won't read it and spoil it for you. And that's pretty much it. The Beatles do have their own rock and roll comic, as does Prince. So of course I'll be looking at trying to purchase those. They do various other comics, but as far as colouring books are concerned, this one is a free for all the artists. Okay, so this book I would give it. I'd certainly give it an 8 out of 10, purely for the fact that they've covered an area subject that not a lot of people have done. It's right up my street, of course, so I'll probably score it higher than anybody else. But for the actual content, I don't think you can go wrong. It's one of those that once you've coloured it all, it will be quite collectible, I would feel, and something that you can pass down and show to relatives that this was a part of your life, and I really like it. So that's Rock and Roll Comics colouring book. I will try and find a link and put it to the video. It's by Raven Press. And the ISBN for this, if you want to pause the video, is and I'll read that as well. It is 97815 405 10273. And just on here, these are the other ones that you can get. You can get Rock and Roll Guns N' Roses, you can buy Springsteen, and you can buy Bob Dylan as well. And those three there. So that's me, that's the Modernist Colourist. I am going to be straight back with another video, but I don't want to elongate this one too much and make it boring. So if you like the video, please give it a big thumbs up. And obviously if you like the content, I am going to be trying to do flip throughs and content that's slightly different to everybody else, purely because obviously I'm a male in a female dominated colouring world. But not only that, I think it just brings a little bit of difference to how other people see things. So yeah, I've got the 2 Neil Gaiman books coming up. That's going to be another video. Then I'm going to pause again and I'm going to do a swatching of the Home Cube felt tip. So that's like I said, that's me, Dev, and you've been watching the Modern Colourist. Thanks for watching.